Hey everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to my channel, SDLC Jennings Business Analyst Consulting. So in this channel, usually we discuss the rules of the business analyst, how you can be a good business analyst, how you can prepare, get a project, stay in the project, or prepare for a job, stay in the job, what skills you need, what tools or software applications you need to know in order to be a good business analyst and stay in the market and make good money. And I have been in this industry working for more than 10 years. And I worked on multiple different projects. So I know what you need to do in order to be successful as a business analyst or business consultant, specifically in the IT industry. So now in this channel, we're going to discuss what is a sprint, you as a business analyst, what you need to know about the sprint dates, how you can prepare ahead of time so that your business requirements are ready well ahead of the sprint start date. So as you know, sprint is a time-boxed event where the developers, the business analysts, the testers, and all sorts of different cross-functional teams come together to deliver a chunk of the product within a specific amount of time. And that time can be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or longer. Usually it's between 1 and 4 weeks, but in some cases, depending on the project, it could be longer than 4 weeks. Excuse me. So, but how do you prepare? Because if your sprint starts tomorrow, you cannot just prepare all the requirements today, review with the stakeholders, get approval from the business, then review with the engineering or development team so they can start tomorrow. It just doesn't work that way. You need to give yourself and other team members enough time, prepare all the requirements, getting signed off as a business analyst, then review with the development team so that they can start working on it. That's how it works. So here in this video, we're gonna look at an example of how you can understand those sprinters. You can start preparing the requirements as a business analyst so that you give developer or engineering team enough time before the start of the sprint to come up with the sprint planning, any solution, what needs to be done, estimation, etc. So let's take a look. So let's look at this sprint date, right? So as you see, this is one of the sprints that I've been working on right now. So this sprint is going to start from 19th of November 2025 and goes until 13th of January 2026. So it's about 8 weeks sprint. So usually sprints are between 1 to 4 weeks, but since in this case the project that I'm working on, some of the features are really long and the product is big, so when we broke them down, it takes time to deliver a chunk of the product, and that's why these sprints are about 8 weeks. Now, when you look at this date, you see that your first sprint is going to start from 19th of November. But later you see the features to be created in requirements board. That means either you use a specific tool like Jira or AHA to document your requirements, or you document in a spreadsheet, whatever your method is. You see that almost more than a month in ahead of time of the first sprint date, you need to start working on the requirements, getting with business, do prioritization, make sure you document everything, review with business, get sign off and everything. So it needs to be ready between October 8th and October 21. So you see almost well ahead of month of the first sprint start date, you need to work on the requirements and make sure they're ready, documented, signed off, business has their priorities lined up and everything documented in the Jira board or in Excel, whatever you use. So in this phase, this is where you come as a business requirement analyst or business analyst, where you work with different stakeholders, understand the requirements, understand good. You don't have to have all the details in this stage, but you need to have good enough requirements so that when you talk to the engineering team or the development team, they have enough information to size the work. Otherwise, we say the estimate. That means how long would it take to complete this chunk of feature. So you need to give them good enough information if you don't have all the information. So that's it's important that you work well out of month, mainly 1 or 1.5 months in advance to gather all these requirements. So now that you have all the requirement, now next one is saying the feature to be pushed to engineering board. In this case, if we use Rally, if you use different board, that's fine. Or if you have a different Excel spreadsheet for engineering development, that's fine. But really, by 10/22, that means 1 month in advance of the sprint start date, you need to have good enough information, review with engineering, and then make sure that these features are ready for them to solution, to size, to discuss, to answer any questions or concern from them. So now that you have the requirements ready for the engineering or development team, now you see there's another point, sprint planning event. Now in this sprint event, you see it's starting on 11 11/06, that means 6th of November. But you have to make sure this happens by this date. It could go probably over a week or until this plan, but until this time. But sprint planning event is where different cross-functional teams, they discuss what work they're gonna do first, based on the business priorities that you shared with them, and if they need to come with a solution, they need to do that. If they see any limitation, they're going to come back to you. If they need to develop something, they're going to come back to you. If they need anything, if they have any concern, they're going to come back to you. So this all happens to make sure that whatever you're asking them to deliver, they have to analyze and come back to you and tell you whether they can deliver everything or there's something they cannot deliver because of whatever reasons. So now you see that if we summarize, the first sprint is starting on 19th of November, right? So we sometimes call it sprint or product iteration, like PI. But even in this sprint date, this is 8 weeks sprint, right? Or PI. Even in these 8 weeks, we break down into different sprint within a sprint, sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4, something like that, and each of them probably runs for 2 weeks or something. Like I was telling you, usually it's between 1 and 4 weeks depending on how you break down. But if we call it a big chunk, a big sprint or PI, then within that we also break down into 2 or 3 or 4 different sprints. Each of them takes like 2 weeks, so that we take your priority. In the priority there could be another priority, so we're like, we discuss, hey, what needs to be delivered first based on the business need. And sometimes we use MVP, which is minimum viable product, or must to have, or business critical, or production critical, or compliance. Usually those are the features or requirements that get highest priority. That means most likely they're going to be done at the beginning of the sprint, and then later something nice to have or something, those kind of things. So that's how we kind of prioritize. But these are the dates that you have to make sure as a business analyst, especially number 2, your requirements has to be very clear. It needs to be signed off. You need to have prioritization from business. You need to review the engineering before you hand over this requirement engineering to start planning and working on it. This is very important. So many times it happens that people don't understand these dates and they're like, oh, my requirements are not ready. And then engineer says, oh, it's too late. We cannot take it. And it creates a big problem. So I hope it was helpful for you to understand what is the sprint or product iteration, and what are different dates. You as a business analyst or business consultant, these are very important for you to understand so that you can prepare accordingly and work with the business to deliver the successful product by the deadline. So please reach out to me if you have any questions, or feel free to schedule a time with me or email me if you have any questions, need any support, and I will make sure that I'll make time for you. And please do not forget to subscribe. We're trying to grow, we're trying to provide helpful contents. I hope that if you share my content and subscribe, that will be helpful for you to be a good business analyst and stay in the market. Thank you for your time, and you have a great day. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.